age-wise, I'm 28. The official name for my role is policy analyst, but that doesn't really tell you much in DC. So I'm a registered lobbyist. Day to day, I'm basically representing my clients' interests in front of policymakers, gathering intel as far in advance as possible so they can make informed decisions about how they want to engage or not engage on various policy issues, I guess you could say. It's primarily in the energy and environment space.
How would you describe yourself as an investor?
Part-time. It's very much a side sort of thing. Craig is, I don't have to tell you this. I mean, he does this full time. I don't want to say I'm reliant on him because I don't want to minimize, but I do a little bit of reading about the markets more generally. But yeah, it's decidedly not a full-time profession for me.
Yeah, that's cool for him to bring you in, though.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
If he can make me money and I can make him money, it's a win-win.
For sure.
Craig and I were looking at potential, because he does a lot of non-9 to 5 income generating sorts of endeavors. I was looking to get into that as well. We had looked at one or two other things that just didn't really work out. It wasn't the structure we were envisioning. And then he told me about this. We obviously had the conversation with you guys, and it just sounded like it aligned with what we had in mind in terms of relatively low maintenance and still opportunities to invest more in future if we like how things go. So yeah, Craig was the mastermind behind all of this.
I guess specifically speaking from your point of view, what were you looking for when you found us, or when you guys found us?
Yeah, honestly, I wanted something relatively low maintenance. I know he does the property management and stuff like that, and I've considered getting into that as well. I'm viewing how he's approaching that. I don't want to say with trepidation, but he's encountered some problems, as anyone who works in this space does, but he's also had some successes. So I figured it would just be good to dip my toes into the sort of side hustle deal before investing more of my own capital. And this struck me as a way to do that with. It's money that I can afford to lose, essentially. And that just struck me as an attractive way to approach it.
Cool.
You want something that's passive, but like real estate isn't always as passive as it.
Yeah.
I don't know. You just hear these horror stories because my parents dabbled in this as well.
Yeah.
And you have the tenants from hell who are just,
Yeah.
they leave it, and it's just, they do all sorts of things to their apartment because it's not their place.
What would you say is or was your number one biggest investment or financial challenge prior to investing with us?
The single biggest investment was grad school. It was significantly cheaper than it would have been in the US because the US is just schooling ridiculously expensive here. So I went overseas for that. And I'm about halfway through paying that. And that was part of my incentive for looking at some of these alternative income streams, just because I don't like having non-useful debt. It's just, it's money that
Yeah, so
exactly. And I'm happy I went to grad school and everything, but it's still hanging like an albatross. So yeah, that's the biggest one.
How did you make decisions about which investments to go into?
Honestly, it's mostly Craig. He follows this stuff on a day-to-day basis. I feel like I can read some general books, but the actual day-to-day stuff is just going to be so much more in the weeds. And it helps when you have a family member in this space. So if I have questions, I pretty much just bounce it off of him, and he likes talking about it and he likes sharing his information. So
Cool.
I am going to continue to be greedy. This is my first foray into alternative income streams, and it might just be a mental thing, but I like that it's not just all one lump sum at the end. It's just like a steady, pretty much like a dividend that's gradually growing over a period of time. I've enjoyed it, and it's nice to have a little bit of extra spending cash at the end of the month. So yeah, I was happy Craig came to me with this, and I've been very pleased with the results so far. Yeah, it's just been good so far.
What were you aiming for, aspiring to become, hoping to accomplish?
I think it's more just, and this just sounds so banal to say, but just more financial security, right? I'm not paid poorly by any stretch of the imagination, but it's always nice to have some extra money and give you a little bit of an extra cushion. In as much as I could diversify my income streams and not be so reliant on just one single 9 to 5 or one single investment stream, then I'm going to do it, especially when the way you guys presented it and the way it's been thus far, it's pretty low risk, and you guys have been delivering on your promises. So that's pretty much what I was looking for. Just a few extra bucks in the pocket in a way that cushioned me from some risk. For some of the other passive income streams and stuff like that, part of it was just the initial upfront capital cost, right? Like you just have to put down X $1,000, and sometimes, I don't have to tell you this, some are just more than others. So like I wasn't in a spot where I could invest, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 of my own money right off the bat. So I wanted something slightly smaller, and that sort of limited my options as to what I could pursue. An advantage of going in with Craig was we could combine our resources. We could get better loan terms and stuff like that. So it just made things a little bit easier. It's more just frustration on just pretty much not having more money that I could invest, quite frankly.
Sure.
But yeah, I've been happy with it thus far. I have no complaints. You guys have been delivering results. That's all
Yep.
anyone can ask, really. That's what's both best and worst about all this. My parents said, compounding interest is your best friend. And to put it in physics terms, if we want to go back to math, like an object at rest tends to stay at rest, and an object in motion tends to stay. So like the first push is always difficult because you just have so little, but once it gets going, it's a snowball. Like
that's why I love what we're doing, because it's so unique in comparison. Essentially buying businesses at wholesale, if you're looking at it in those terms, as if you go and look at like Biz Buy Sell or Empire Flippers and some of the other business broker sites that are just selling businesses, you're going to pay market value for that, if not more.
It's expensive. I checked it out before looking at you guys.
Yeah. And then also in most cases, you're in charge of growing the business and marketing the business and hiring an agency or finding a media buyer or whatever that may be. We've just had so many people come in, and in the past they've bought like a done for you Amazon store and put 50 to 100,000 in and not seen anything from it. So that to me is mind blowing because of what we're doing. There's just so much out there that's not doing well. I think that's always a little tricky, which is why we actually are in the direct to consumer space and buying brands that have more community, and it's more of a brand than just looking for Amazon products or something like that and selling an Amazon store type of thing. What would you say, if anything, to somebody who's on the fence about investing with this?
If they have the available money and it's something that they're looking to, like me, diversify their income stream, yeah, I would recommend it. I've mentioned that I have this sort of separate income sort of stream, and people seemed interested. If they're looking for something, I would recommend you all. You hear about these things that they say they're pretty passive, and then they end up not being very passive. And I don't want to say like I'm willing to do some stuff, but I don't want this to be something where I'm working 30 extra hours a week trying to manage something when they told me that I only have to pay a little bit of attention to it. So thank you on behalf of me, and on behalf of Craig as well, in case he did say thank you.
Yeah.